All right, hello and welcome to our webcast. This is our 2017 SANS Holiday Hack Challenge wrap-up, and boy, are we excited about this. The whole team has worked so hard, not only on the challenges, but pulling together this final wrap-up presentation. We're going to do a winner's announcement, all kinds of cool stuff. My name is Ed Skoudis. I'll be your host for this webcast. We are taking questions. If you have questions, you can type them in. If we have time at the end of the webcast, we're going to have Jason Blanchard go through your questions and ask them of me and my co-presenters. But our focus here is on this little story we call Wintered, the untold story of the elves of the North Pole. So I'm going to head and move on to the next slide here. So I'll set things up with a brief set of intros and our storyline. That'll be me. And then we'll have Josh Wright go over the challenges. Evan Booth is going to describe to you the physics puzzler and show you some of the very novel approaches that you use for that. I'll then announce the winning entries. We'll do conclusions and then finish up with questions and answers. All right. So my fellow co-presenters, Josh and Evan, you guys ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Awesome.
We're on.
Okay. So first of all, I want to thank you to everyone who participated in our challenge. I mean, we put these challenges together. And I'll be honest with you, it takes us more than a year to create a holiday hack challenge. And our real hope, our real desire is that people will want to participate in this because they have fun and also they learn skills that they can use directly in their roles as cybersecurity professionals. So we need to thank you because you guys spent time and effort and hopefully got some good value out of it. But we had 9,588 users. And those 9,588 users rolled 680,000 snowballs down the mountains of the North Pole, which is pretty awesome. We received 272 full answer entries, which were read, every one of them in detail, by Jerry Salinas. He's a gentleman on our team. I'll show you him a little bit later. But he went through all of them, responded to all of them. He did such a fantastic job with that. And I'm happy to say that 415 of our participants went all the way through and unveiled our bad guy this year, who was Glinda, the so-called Good Witch. So those are some interesting stats. Evan's going to give you even more stats a little bit later. I also should thank our sponsors and the volunteers who helped us make this thing. The SANS Institute, our hats off to them. We are so grateful. They funded the development and operation of the challenge by funding the team here that made that happen. They provided the grand prize. The grand prize is a SANS on-demand course, and we're super thankful for that. Google also provided hosting services on their Google Cloud environment. They were a delight to work with. Kudos to them. If you're looking for a cloud hosting environment, I strongly recommend you check out Google. It might be a great option for you. They were a great option for us. Also, our artists were tremendous to work with this year. I loved the soundtrack. It made me so happy. I just love listening to it. The musicians were Dual Core, Keith Myers, and Count Ninja. And if you look at, musical folks in the hacker community, I don't think you'll find any group that tops this trio. They do amazing stuff. From an artist perspective, Kimberly Elliott did so much of our artwork. She did the Wintered logo itself. She created the pages of the Great Book, which I was stunned. I was really happy with the pages of the Great Book. She also created the Glinda icon and the Sam the Snowman icon, as well as the Abominable Snow Monster icon. She did a great job with that, and a bunch of other things. And also Mike Cecil. Mike was wonderful to work with. He did the icons of the elves. He also did the player icons, which were quite whimsical and cool. We also got some great layout and other support work from Clay Moody. He was just a joy to work with. He did a lot of the front end user interface look of the website and where you enter in answers and such. And then Jason Blanchard, sort of a jack of all trades, helped out with all kinds of things, sort of artistic view, getting the t-shirts made for our prizes and a whole bunch more. So thank you to all of these folks who helped. I also would like to offer my personal thanks to the CounterHack crew. These folks spent thousands of hours working on Holiday Hack Challenge, and I just wanted to give them credit. Evan Booth, he created the physics puzzler. Now, look, the truth is everybody worked on everything, but I wanted to put down the main things that each person worked on here. The physics puzzler, Evan Booth. Ron Bose is a mad coder. He worked on all the things. Anytime we needed a little bit of code here, a little bit of code there, Ron stepped to the fore. He also did the account system. He did the thing that tracks the tokens with some support from Evan on that as you complete various challenges and so forth. It was awesome. Chris Davis did massive challenge development. A lot of the challenges came directly from the mind of Chris Davis. Awesome. Tom Hessman created the website, did a huge amount of testing in QA, and is a fantastic core of our ops team. Jeff McJunkin worked so hard on the terminal challenges, those little cranberry pie terminals that were in each level. Jeff created a bunch of those. Josh created a bunch as well. Daniel Pendolino built out our infrastructure, also did QA, and again, one of the centerpieces of our ops team. Jerry Salinas, quality assurance, tested so much stuff, and he's the guy who read all of those entries and responded to them all. I'm so thankful for that. That's one of the hardest things of all, is to read hundreds and hundreds of entries. Imagine being a teacher and getting 270 term papers, some as short as a page, many as long as 100 pages, and you have to read them all and comment on them. Lynn Schifano did all of our blog posts. I mean, various other folks wrote them, folks like Jeff McJunkin and Chris Davis and Josh Wright, but Lynn coordinated the posting of all that and helped to coordinate everything else associated with this. I wrote the story and am the overall director of the Holiday Hack Project, and then Josh Wright. He was really instrumental in designing and coordinating the challenges themselves. And that's really the backbone of the Holiday Hack Challenge. I mean, it's the challenges. And he developed a whole bunch of the challenges and coordinated with other challenge developers. It was just wonderful. Here's our team. You can see our team, just a bunch of wonderful, fantastic people who have trouble locating the camera. You'll see some of us are looking at the camera that took the shot. Others are looking at another camera that was taking a shot at the same time. But this is the Counterhack crew. Nice. The story. So the storyline, the idea here is we wanted to give you a sense of why the North Pole is where it is, and how did the elves get there, and why is it under siege by giant snowballs. You see, in the previous years, bad guys were trying to destroy Christmas, but this year we wanted to up the stakes. I mean, if you remember and played 2015 Holiday Hack Challenge, it was Cindy Lou Who wanted to destroy Christmas by stealing all of the presents, kind of like the Grinch did. And then if you remember the 2016 Holiday Hack Challenge, it was Doctor Who. Doctor Who wanted to destroy Christmas by kidnapping Santa Claus because his overall goal was to suppress the release of the Star Wars Holiday Special. Each of those was a plot where Christmas for that year was going to be destroyed. We wanted to up the stakes this year and have the plot be somebody's trying to destroy the North Pole with these giant snowballs. But as you unravel the plot, you found out that it went even deeper. You found out the relationship of the North Pole and the land of Oz. It turns out that the elves actually got to the North Pole because they are of the same kind as the Munchkins. The Munchkins and the elves were once united as the little people of Oz. And we tried to write this Tolkien-esque backstory and manifest it through a series of pages of the Great Book. So how did the elves get to the North Pole? It was due to the Great Schism. There was this falling out between the elves and the Munchkins. Why can reindeer fly? Because they're genetically engineered to do so, just like the flying monkeys. What's with Rudolph's red nose? Well, because it says in the Great Book that there is a 1 in a million chance that a reindeer who can fly will one day be born with a red nose. Where did the abominable snow monster come from? Well, he's a natural inhabitant of the North Pole. And the abominable snow monster Great Book page kind of sets forth his interactions with the elves. We also have other topics in there, including things like the Lollipop Guild, this elite force of munchkins, and the dreaded interdimensional tornadoes. That was a plot device we used to kind of tie together Kansas in 1938, to tie together the North Pole, and to tie together Oz. And we also have a page regarding the Witches of Oz. One of the things that we try to do every year for the last 3 years is to have a set of challenges where you're retrieving some asset. And then you need to get, of the N assets, you only need to get a subset of them, M. So it's an N choose M kind of thing. And our hope was that if you could get 5 of these 7 pages, you'd be able to piece together enough of the story to understand what happens. In 2015, our hope was you had to get 3 of the 5 video feeds so you could kind of blend them together and see that it was Cindy Lou Who. And then last year, our hope was that with 5 of the 7 audio files, the discombobulated audio, if you got 5 of the 7 of those together, you'd be able to figure out it was Doctor Who. Here we chose an N choose M module where it was based on pages of the Great Book. So that was the story. That's where we're coming from from that perspective. And you guys did tremendously with this. I was really pleasantly surprised at how well and how deeply the various players got into this game. But I'd like to now transition things over to Josh Wright. So if Carol Off, the lady who's running the webcast, can give control of the presentation over to Josh, we'd appreciate that, so that Josh can walk us through the challenges.
Great. Thank you, Ed, and thank you, Carol. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. We love working on the Holiday Hack Challenge, and I have the pleasure of being able to put together and coordinate a lot of the challenge activities that we have. So I did want to talk a little bit about that here and go over a couple of things that we wanted to share. So this is just a screenshot from a little note-taking thing that comes on my Mac. And I wanted to show you kind of what we were thinking about and what we wanted to achieve when we were designing Holiday Hack Challenge 2017, and specifically the challenges themselves. We wanted to have this kind of a model where there was an initial compromised target and then pivoting to internal hosts, and that was the Letters to Santa server. We wanted to look more like getting a foothold inside of an organization and then pivoting to internal hosts. We always want to have real-world attack techniques, and specifically, we wanted stuff from 2017 that is really interesting. Things like bug bounties, public compromises. We integrated the Verizon / Nice Systems or Nice Systems compromise. We also had of course, a big credit agency compromises that happened in 2017 as well. And some of the tools and techniques, we wanted to try to take that real world element and bring it into our challenges so that when people play Holiday Hack Challenge, they're able to practice these things and get real hands-on access to these tools and techniques. We also wanted to bring in techniques that we've leveraged on pen tests throughout the year at CounterHack. At CounterHack, we do pen testing for customers as well. And I had a note here. My friend Kenny and I were looking at an XXE injection bug. So, stuff like that it was new to me but useful, I wanted to try to bring into the challenge as well. And then a couple of things, reliability, concurrency for our players, which is often very difficult to accommodate, and stability. Those were our goals always. We wanted to also incorporate not exploitation, but post-exploitation data analysis, and that was inspired by the Netflix challenge, which I'll talk about in a second, and the Verizon Niche Systems breach, and then, of course, tried and true techniques every pen tester should know. These are the things that we set about to integrate into Holiday Hack Challenge, and I think we did a pretty good job, but we had a couple shortcomings. I will talk about some of those as well. I do want to take a second. I know Ed thanked some folks, but I do want to send some shout outs to Chris Davis, not Chris Carboni here, for some of the challenges. Tom Hessman, Moses Hernandez, also goes by Moses Renegade, did a lot of great dev work for us. Ron Bose. This team, Chris Davis, not Chris Carboni on the slide. Sorry, last minute change. These guys spend lots and lots of hours. They volunteer lots of time making the challenges for us, and we're just very thankful to them. I'm also very thankful for Jeff McJunkin, who did a tremendous job on the terminal challenges. And these things aren't easy to develop, to build for concurrency, and to be able to accommodate in the platform that we're using. But these guys did a great job, and thank you for all your work, guys. Now, we at CounterHack embrace the concept that we are always learning. And so, we're always improving. We make mistakes, we learn from them, and we get better. Our goal every year is to always engage you as meaningfully as we can and to do better every year. I look back at what we did last year, 2017, 2016, 2015, and I see a clear trajectory of how we improve. And every year I think, oh my gosh, how are we going to do better next year? Like, what are the things that we're going to do better? Part of that process is critical assessment of how we do in designing our challenges and implementing them, and looking at it and saying, what could we have done better this year? What can we do better next year? And that's definitely an important part of our process. So for me, when we look at postmortem on our team, there were two areas that I thought we could have done better. There's always small things, but two big things that I want to cover here. So one of the challenges that we wanted to do was to have a challenge where you are not compromising a host, but you're getting some post-compromised data, and you're correlating that with other data sources to get meaningful information. Now, this was inspired by the Verizon breach in 2017, but also the Netflix prize. Now, the Netflix prize was 2006, so I was a little late catching up to this. But if you're not familiar with the Netflix prize, what happened is in 2006, Netflix opened up to a lot of developers and they said, hey, can you figure out a better model for us to recommend movies to people that they will like? And so they took all of their customer records, or a subset of their customer records that might have, for example, here, last name, first name, date, the rating of a movie title, and then the movie title itself. And then they anonymized it. So they removed name, they kept the date, the customer number, but no correlation to who that customer is, a rating, and then the title. Now, two University of Texas researchers figured out that they could take all of this anonymized Netflix information from this Netflix data set here. So here's all the data Netflix released, customer number, a date information, a rating, the title, and then they correlated that information against an external data source. In this case, IMDb, the Internet Movie Database. So what they were able to do is say, hey, I see that Netflix has released information that says this customer, I don't know who that is, rated Insidious, Insidious 2, Insidious 3, Annabelle, and Sinister with all these different rating values. And then they were able to correlate that against public data in the Internet Movie Database to de-anonymize the data source, revealing that it was me that had those ratings, and then thereby revealing information about who Netflix's customers are. Now, I found this really, really interesting, that we could take anonymized data, correlate it against a public data source, and de-anonymize, assign some identity information to that data. In the case of Netflix, it's interesting because although some of the IMDb information is publicly available, other movies that I watched but rated with Netflix but not online are not known, so it reveals some interesting habits of my movie watching information, maybe political bias and things like that. We integrated this in the North Pole Police Department Challenge, the NPPD site. So when I designed the NPPD Challenge, basically this is what I wanted to have happen. I wanted you to get the information about Munchkin moles, and then identify and correlate that data. Take the information in JSON form from the NPPD website, correlate the naughty nice list data from the SMB server compromise that we provided as well, and then use a BOLO, or be on the lookout report, for two known Munchkin moles, Binny Arrow and Bach Kestrian. Now, using all these data sources, I wanted you to be able to massage the data, turn it into some format that would be useful. Some people use spreadsheets, some people used SQL databases, some people just wrote Python scripts to parse it all out of raw text files. But I wanted you to think critically about the data, to correlate relationships, and this was inspired by the Verizon hack. Verizon got hacked through a partner, but a lot of the information that was revealed wasn't from the NICE data partner, it was the external data correlation that Verizon made available with the NICE data breach that revealed a lot of the customer information. That's what I wanted you to be able to find. And so when I solved this, I put it all in a database, and I did a couple of SQL statements, and SQL statements started to get a little hairy down here. But once that was done, you ran the SQL statement, and all the Munchkin moles were identified clearly because they all shared the same infractions: aggravated pulling of hair, superatomic wedgies, throwing rocks at people, the kind of egregious things on the naughty nice list. Now, this was the goal going into it, and I was thrilled when people started turning in reports. I started looking at them, but I started noticing a pattern, and that's, as the designer of a challenge, The answer is obvious. Of course, you design the challenge, you have the benefit of context, the goals in the challenge, and then, dozens or hundreds of hours of development time. But what I found out reading your reports is that you, the players who worked on the challenge, had a much harder time because the answer was not as obvious as it was to me. Now, a lot of your answers were correct, and we were thrilled by that, but it was a lot of guesswork, and almost every entry had for the NPBD challenge, I'm not really sure, I think this is right, but I don't really have a way to correlate it. And that's a shortcoming on our side. So I feel like I fell short in the quality here for this challenge. The answer should have been clear and well established after your work in solving the problem. We'll do better. So this was, I thought a great challenge, and I thought still it was valuable, but the answer was not as clear as it should have been. And that's something that we're going to work on making sure that we do better on going forward. So that's one area I wanted to talk about. The other one was the North Pole elf database. Now, when we design everything in the Holiday Hack Challenge, we design the challenges such that they are appropriate for early pen testers, maybe younger pen testers, or people that are just getting into the field and they're interested in hacking but haven't done a lot of it yet. But we also want to engage and challenge our seasoned hackers, our seasoned pen testers. And one of the seasoned challenges, the ones that we thought would take people a lot of time, was the North Pole elf database. Okay, this was the thing that we thought would take you a lot of time to be able to complete. So here's what we thought the process would be. Get past a cross-site scripting vulnerability filter, do some cookie theft with a JavaScript callback, do a Java web token cracking, and then do key forgery, enumerate an LDAP database to get schema disclosure, do LDAP query injection, do some hash cracking via Google search, and then access the LDAP server as Santa. We thought that that would take a normal person 10 or maybe 20 hours to be able to complete with a sophisticated skill set. So this was supposed to be the challenge that took people a lot of time. And then we started seeing some reports come in, and I remember asking the team, guys, should the ELF database server be listening on 0000, not localhost, but on a public port? This is what we wanted you to do to be able to solve this EDB challenge. This is what you had to do. It turns out you could just use the LDAP search utility, anonymously connect to the LDAP engine, bypass all of these steps, and then get the answer. And Wayne Fisher, thank you very much to him for disclosing this issue to us. So, sometimes we make mistakes. It happens. We opened up access to that LDAP server directly and anonymously. Oops, that was a problem. It was an oversight that escaped both the dev team and the ops groups. That happens, and so be it. We made a mistake. We learned from that. Here's where it fell down and burned up around us. Our reaction to that was to quickly change that LDAP binding to localhost instead of binding on all ports so that you couldn't do this proxy change LDAP search command anymore. That was a mistake, because now some people that got to that server early were able to complete it the easy way, but people that got to the server later had to complete it the hard way. And then Ed and I had a meeting, and we discussed it, and we thought about switching it back after making that change, but then we thought, well, no, that's more uncertainty now, and now it's more confusion, so we decided just to leave it the way it was after that change. This change should not have happened, though. This was a mistake on our part. We apologize for it. We should not have changed that server and then changed the playability for everybody. We should have just left it consistent. Mea culpa. These are the things that we learned from. This is how we improve. And I just want to thank everybody for your feedback. Some of it was very kind. Some of it was very angry and frustrated. And we appreciate all of that, because that's how we get better, and that's how we deliver better challenges to you going forward. And so just thank you so much for all of your feedback and all the challenges, and thank you for playing and for the opportunity to be able to put this together for you. All right, and that's it for me, and I think I'm going to turn it over to Evan now.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Carol, I think you need to turn control over to Evan.
Hey, Carol.
Carol off. If you could give Evan control, that'd be great. Thank you.
Sweet. Here we go. All right. So, I want to talk about some stats. First and foremost, as Ed mentioned, we had 9,588 players, and of those players, you guys did 680,218 snowballs rolled. Now, of those rolls, about 38% of those, you guys waited until you saw something like this, and this marks the end of a run where we're able to give you a score for it, and the score is based on the objectives that you were able to complete during the run, and you do that by making wise use of a variety of tools and placing it on the map. I am going to show you. Well, first off, we're amazed that you guys put down just north of 1.7 million tools since we launched, and I want to show you real quick about 9% of those. In each frame of this video is a different configuration or solution that you guys have input since we launched. So here we go. All right, awesome. And also, they gave you a nice little preview of all 8 of our levels. So, yeah, it saw some really, really creative and clever solutions there. How the tools broke down, you guys used conveyors the most. Almost 32% of the tools you placed were conveyors, followed by snowballs, and then icicles. Now, the most popular tool ended up being the conveyors. It was a little closer, though, once I adjusted for the fact that not all players actually unlocked all of the tools, right? Because you were able to unlock tools as you completed terminal challenges. So the tools unlocked by players, if you entered any of the levels at all, you immediately got the snowball tool. Completing that landing challenge, terminal challenge got you the conveyor, and 43, almost 44% got that, and that's sort of whittled its way down to portals, which is available later later on in the game and in a much more difficult terminal. So only about 11.5% of players ended up with the portals. So speaking of unlocking levels, the initial 4 were unlocked right out of the gate. And if you were able to guide a snowball into the exit for all 4 of those levels, it unlocked Bumble's Bounce. And about a fifth of our players were able to get that. And if you got through that, then you pretty much stuck with it for the rest of the game and finished up the rest of the levels. This is a graph that illustrates the percent of people having a killer time right now. Here are the average tools placed per level. And this, for me, was sort of a good indicator of sort of the overall level difficulty, as well as the average number of iterations per level. And that's the number of times that you guys, rolled a snowball, looked at the results, moved some tools around, added new tools, removed tools, and the kind of the shape of these two are similar. So again, like a pretty good indicator of difficulty. Now, the max number of points available in a level, varied by the objectives and some other factors. So there's a good bit of variety here, and this is the average score per level. And then this is the average of all of the slides I've presented thus far. And this is a scatter chart. This is, I think, just north of 10,000 verified scored runs, represented on the y-axis by the number of iterations required to get to that score. And of course, the score is represented on the x-axis. Now, looking at this for a while, like it's interesting. You could see little gatherings, little columns, and I'm thinking that is in intervals of 15. As you're able to sort of get the number of tools used below 10, then you start getting bonus, 15-point bonus for each tool deficit. So you start to see little gathering there. So I looked at this and analyzed it for a while, and the best way to describe the number of iterations and the correlation to score is sort of the state of Kentucky. So if you iterate on a solution long enough, you should see a solid Kentucky fold increase in your score. So speaking of scores, let's talk about the top 3 scores for each map. Starting with Winter Wonder Landing. Now I want to show you a visualization of the top 100 scores and the path that the snowballs took. The green paths are higher rated or higher scored. Gray is sort of the middle of the road, and then there's red, which is sort of suboptimal. This is fun because you start to see some some trends, and it helps you understand like which decisions paid off. So yeah, first, second, and third here was Chill Factor, Derpy Derpy Derp, and Anna or Anna. Next to When Conceivable, The Cliffs of Winsanity. It's a pretty good amount of consistency there in the top-rated runs for this this level. And we got Bendigo 918, Cyborg, and Workwall, which is a tough word to say, Workwall. So moving on to there's Snow Place Like Home. And you had to get 3 snowballs to the exit, so you kind of see them all making their way across that bridge there. Awesome. You see McElvin 1, Cyborg, and a very randomly named SANS hack 2017. So Cryokinetic Magic is next. And a lot of people had the same idea to sort of circle around the shed and collect those waypoints before making their way to the exit. Awesome. So Judge Fudge, Alveb, and So Pun took top honors there. Now to Bumble's Bounce, the first level that is not unlocked right from the start. And this had 3 snowballs coming down. You had to manage, and all of them are trying to knock over the red packages. So you got to keep those safe. Awesome. So JDAF, AK, and Beer Please, first, second, and third there. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. And this one, if you pass a snowball into this tornado, right, it flips you back in time to Kansas in black and white. So I've got both views shown. And I hid the red flower so you can sort of see the paths a bit more. Looks like a TSA X-ray or something. So Majin Buu, Derp, and McElvin 1 were first, second, and third there. And oh wait, maybe we are is our bowling level. And you guys all pretty much had the same idea on this one. Another view. And the spread here between first and third was, I think, 3 points. All with the same basic solution, using 2 conveyors. Word Paladin, I'm taking some liberties there. Just Ducky and Janice, all using 2 conveyors. I think the first place there was just able to shave off a second off the time. And then finally, our last level, we're off to Sida. And here we've got, at the very top of this emerald spire, we've got Glinda hanging out in her little shiny bubble thing. Another view. You got to sort of make your way down and collect waypoints before hitting that exit at the very bottom. Awesome. So Hap, Indie Mike, and Fade Code were our top 3 there. Sweet. So some bonus stuff really quick. This is just stuff I like. I like this one because it sort of reminded me of Jurassic Park, and it doesn't make liberal use of the conveyors there, but it does a pretty good job getting all 3 of those snowballs into the exit area kind of at the same time. This is just a fantastic use of bumpers and a conveyor just to control where those balls are going, and then a portal at the end to hit the exit in the middle. Very nicely done. This is great. So this is kind of the brute force approach, make a boxing ring. It's like, got to keep this ball in here somehow, right? And you're limited to 100 tools in the solution, so I think it left a bit of a gap there. Awesome. And I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but if you place a tool underneath something you can move, as soon as you start the run, it'll kick it out of the way. So that's what that conveyor did with that pipe. And snowballs work the same way because they take up space. It's a nice little mechanism there. And finally, if you made it to the last level and you weren't able to get Glinda down, this is a really tidy solution that uses just a few tools and just barely taps it, but it's enough to get it off balance there. And there you go. So that's a overview of the physics puzzler. And sorry if the audio was a bit tinny. I was literally holding the headphones up to the microphone. So that's all I've got.
That was great, Evan. Thank you. Carol, if you could turn it back to my screen. Oh, yes, perfect. Go ahead and show my screen. Evan, one of the things I thought was really interesting in that was the fact that there were so many different people represented among the first, second, and third. Some people excelled at some levels, others excelled at other levels. There were just a lot of people. It wasn't just like one person dominating all the levels, which was kind of cool. But let's go ahead now and talk about the winning entries. All right, here we go. Honorable mentions. So these are folks who submitted really, really solid work. I mean, just really impressive stuff. There's a group here. It's about 30 people or so. Our hats off to you. Really, really impressive work. And I will point out that we are going to post, as soon as this webcast is done, we're going to have Mr. Tom Hessman post on the holidayhackchallenge.com website a list of all of our winners. So if you want to show your boss that you got an honorable mention or a super honorable mention or you were one of our top winners, You can point to that right after this webcast is done. Mr. Hessman's going to push that very soon. So congratulations to those of you who have received honorable mention. Fantastic work. But there are some who went beyond and just did such an incredible job. We call these our super honorable mentions. And I'll go ahead and read these names. These folks just did awesome work. Stanislav Barta, fantastic. William David, what command line kung fu you possess. John Hammond, excellent detail, and I love the way your solution flows through as you walk through it. Klaus V, also known as Atmosh, really impressive detail in your work. Steve Sampana, fantastic annotations as we were reading it. You kind of walked us right through. And then Gavin Walker, super smart in the way that you solved each of these challenges. These are our super honorable mentions. So we got honorable mentions and super honorable mentions. Now I'd like to move to our categories where you could win a prize. And our first category is the random draw winners. We will be sending you a t-shirt, a super soft, wonderful t-shirt. You'll be hearing from somebody on our staff asking you the size of t-shirt that you would like. I love these t-shirts. They're fantastic. Tom Hessman, who's, remember, he's the gentleman from our QA and Ops team. He's wearing one of these shirts today. You got the Wintered logo on the front. On the back, you got the Abominable Snow Monster. You got flying reindeer, a little representation of the Lollipop Guild, flying monkeys, and more. It's just really cool stuff. So our random draw winners, we got the randomness from random.org, Stacy Alspaw, Andrew Hall, Christopher Moore, Stanislav Nuriloff, Matthew O'Donnell, Greg P., and John Williams. But now let's move to our next category. This is where things start getting even more exciting. There were certain answers that were so creative that I thought they deserved special designation. Super creative entries. Jason Reyes had a great layout. It was so well illustrated. His walkthrough just was fantastic. We're going to go ahead and send you a t-shirt as well, Jason. Thank you for your great work. Also, Dan Roberts. The website you created, it was very detailed. It was just awesome. You gave us a list of the Easter eggs that you found throughout the environment. Just so neat. I loved these entries. They were so, so good. Now, let's move on to our next prize. Now we're going to start getting into the best of the best. I mean, you guys all did such a great job, but there were some that just really came out to the top, and we're going to give you some prizes that I think you're going to really enjoy, really, really like. So let's move on to our next category. This is our best creative answer. This thing was awesome. It was done by the Three Stagers. Not only were their technical solutions just brilliant and detailed, but they created a magazine called The Hack, a one-time special publication with all of these articles in it. And articles included things like Confession of a Supervillain and Blue Team Advice. It was all written as though it were like almost like People magazine, but in the world of the Holiday Hack Challenge. At the end of the magazine, they even included an ad from Glinda's Spell Emporium. Remember, the whole point here is Glinda is a war profiteer who wants to sell her spells. And in the ad itself, it says, look, we understand that Glinda's the bad guy here, but we already sold her the ad space. So we're under contract to fulfill delivery of this ad. It was a delight to read. It was fun. Many of us on the staff were laughing as we read that. We're going to go ahead and give the Three Stagers access to Core Networks Continuous. That is the challenge environment, the cyber range. It's a 4-month subscription, generously provided by the SANS Institute. We hope you enjoy Core Networks Continuous. And if you're looking for something to read that'll make you smile, please look at their solution as well as their magazine. Mr. Hessman, Tom Hessman, is going to publish links to all of that with our official answers at holidayhackchallenge.com as soon as this webcast is over. There's 2 more remaining categories, my friends. One of them is our best technical answer, and then the final one is our grand prize winner. So, without further ado, let me show you our best technical answer. Best technical answer is from Andy Smith. Andy's write-up is spectacular. But the thing that really, really impressed so many on the team here, especially me, was his video walkthroughs of all of the solutions. He posted 3 videos. The first video is an introduction and covers all the terminal challenges. It's about 18 minutes long. The second video covers challenges 1 through 4. It's 12.5 minutes long. That's it. He walks you through it, but it never feels rushed. And I don't know how Andy does it, but his demos are flawless. And then his third one is it's a little under 15 minutes long, and it covers challenges 5 through 9. So here you have, in about a 45-minute video divided across 3 different things, a complete tutorial for how to do all of the terminal challenges and challenges in Holiday Hack. And I wanted to choose this one as our best technical answer because if you learn by watching hands-on video demos, I really encourage you to watch Andy Smith's work here because he walks you through step by step for all the challenges, hands-on, right in a video, right there on YouTube. And Mr. Hessman is going to post the winning announcement, which will include links directly to the YouTube videos for Andy Smith. So Andy did a great job. Now, some people learn by reading a document that somebody else wrote. Other people learn by watching videos. So I wanted to choose one where we had these videos. It's just amazing. But if you want to read a detailed document that shows you how to do each one of our challenges and why, and it has a whole bunch of extras, well, that's going to move to our grand prize winner. Our grand prize winner is Vlad Grigorescu and the NCSA security team. They're going to get a free SANS on-demand course. The way that they structured their solution is fantastic. I show you the table of contents on the left-hand side. They've got a TLDR quick answer part there. Very nice. The thing that really impressed so many of people on the team here judging this was the pre-contest reconnaissance. These folks were on to us. They were monitoring every little change any one of us did on any of our websites or anything else on the internet, including things like certificates that we were registering for and more. And they published all of that in their results. They then go through the terminals. They go through all of the answers for each technical challenge. They then have Easter eggs that they found as they work their way through it. Vlad and the team, congratulations to you. We're going to give you a free SANS on-demand course. So there's much to be learned. I learned a lot by watching Andy's as well as reading the NCSA security team's work. Really, really good stuff. I encourage you to read it as well if you want to learn and develop these skills. So that's going to bring us now toward our conclusion, and then we'll go over to Jason Blanchard for questions and answers. Now, I counted yesterday, and we have written 14 holiday hack challenges to date. There have been 14 of them. But if you think about the last three, 2015, 2016, and 2017, you remember them, right? Each one of them, there was this potential to destroy Christmas, and you, the player, had to discover the plot and find the bad guy. And we always try to put in a plot twist, who really is the bad guy. With Gnome in Your Home, it was Cindy Lou Who was trying to steal all those Christmas presents. 2016, bad guy was Doctor Who had abducted Santa Claus. 2017, with our Oz theme, it was Glinda, the so-called good witch. We tried to build these things so that they required some exploration, social interaction, working together with other players, at least chatting with them, and then solving the video game challenge, but also with a big focus on the hacking challenges. Because after all, that's what we're all about, is the hacking challenges themselves, but dressing them up in a fun, playable, interactive world. One of our favorite things is when people participate in this working together, especially working with kids. One of our favorite things is when we get emails of kids playing the video game portion and then gathering assets that they hand off sometimes to their parents or sometimes to friends or teachers. And then the teachers show the kids how to use those assets to be able to solve the challenges themselves. It's so fun. We also want you to be able to play solo. And in fact, maybe even make friends as you're playing these things. But that was the idea of 2015, 2016, and 2017. And I'd like to give you a little bit of a tease about 2018. I started working on Holiday Hack Challenge 2018 in September of 2017. In other words, 15 months in advance. I got some thoughts on the storyline, started putting them together, started running them by some folks on the team, and we are right now in active development of Holiday Hack Challenge 2018. And the way it's going to work is this. 2018's Holiday Hack Challenge is going to kind of sit on a three-legged stool of the 2015, 2016, and 2017 challenges. So what you're going to see is something, it's almost as though 15, 16, and 17 were a trilogy, and 2018 is going to take it kind of to the next level. Now, we're writing this in such a way that if you didn't play in 2015, 16, or 17, it's not a problem. You don't have to know what happened in the 15, 16, or 17 challenge to fully engage in 2018. But if you have played these earlier challenges, which I know many of you have, you're going to see some fun and interesting things that is building on what came before. So it's open to everyone, including and especially new players. Please tell your friends to play. I mean, we do this as our gift to the community. And the more people play, the merrier. And in fact, because of that, we keep the Holiday Hack Challenges up forever. I mean, I mentioned there's 14 of them out there. You can go and you can still play Gnome in Your Home right now. You can play Santa's Business Card, the 2016 one. You can play that right now. And Santa has instructed the elves to keep the 2017 one up and running as well. So you can practice and build your skills. Maybe you participated in 2017. That's why you're on this webcast. But did you do the 2016 one? Did you do the 2015 one? How about 2010? Did you try that one? They're all up there for you because, again, the goal is for you to build your skills while having some fun. So you can, in July of 2018, work on the 2012 Holiday Hack Challenge. Have some fun, make yourself some hot cocoa in July, and enjoy working your way through those challenges. They're there for you. And all of the answers. Remember, we choose our grand prize winner with the eye toward this is the official set of answers for the challenge. So you can follow along and learn from those official answers as you work your way through and build your skills. And that's going to move us right now to our last slide. I'd like to thank you again for playing in Holiday Hack Challenge, for supporting the team and encouraging the team. We got so many kind and wonderful emails, a lot of really good feedback. Josh Wright emphasized a lot of that feedback during his talk. But let's go ahead, Jason, and open it up for questions if you've gotten any.
Got a few.
Okay.
Ed, the first question is, are Holiday Hack shirts going to be available to us mere mortals?
That is a great question. I have no idea the answer to it. I'd have to direct that question to Jason Blanchard. Jason, do you know the answer to that question?
The answer is in 2017, it was a limited run just for contest winners and staff members. But the 2018 challenge looks like we will try to find a fulfillment center to make shirts available, but I am still working on that.
Oh, good. So people would be able to buy a shirt if they wanted to?
That's what we're looking into, Ed.
Oh, that's cool. They're really lovely shirts. I'm sorry, I'm telling you, it's a lovely shirt that you can't get a hold of. But it's a special prize for our winners this year, but it looks like next year we're going to open that up even further. Great question. Thank you. What else you got?
From Amber Lee, how long did the Holiday Hack Challenge 2017 take to write?
So it's a good question. It took the idea for Holiday Hack Challenge 2017, the storyline idea actually came to me. It initially came to me back in 2015. I remember I called Josh Wright the day after we launched Gnome in Your Home. So that's 2015. So maybe like December 12th, I called Josh and I said, how are we looking? He's like, great, we're in production. Everything's going great. I said, fantastic. I have an idea for a future Holiday Hack Challenge. He's like, what? I said, yeah, it's going to be like Wizard of Oz based. And it's going to be like the witches and stuff like that. And the bad guy's going to be one of the witches. And he's like, Ed, we just launched this year and you're talking about 2 years down the road. I'm like, look, you take the ideas when they come to you. Oh, and it's also going to look like Rudolph committed it, but he really didn't do it. It's going to try to frame Rudolph. So, I mean, that one was like 2 years from idea to actual launch. We really got actively involved, though, last year around March. I started to do a lot of the story writing, and we started doing a lot of development in May, and then things really, really got rolling October, November, December of last year. This year, we're trying to bump things earlier. I've got most of the storyline done, and Evan's working on the video game environment, and challenge stuff is going to start pretty soon as well. That's a long-winded answer of saying it's thousands of hours. I don't know exactly the number of thousands, but it's more than one and less than 5. Okay.
And I would say that a lot of the team starts putting in at least 100-hour work weeks for months prior to launch.
Oh yeah,
and that's that we're trying to fix, because that's not good for the team. But I know Evan is humble, but put in thousands and thousands of hours just by himself. And I know the challenge developers themselves each put in hundreds of hours for each challenge that we present. Yeah,
and we really are trying to load that up earlier this year, with the storyline being done earlier, and more of the video game assets being built out. Wait till you see next year. It's going to be fun, very fun. Emphasis on interacting and discovering things. I think you're going to really enjoy that. Thanks, John.
And another question is, we noticed that the high score changed. What happened here? We spent hours trying to get that last point. Smiley face.
Evan, would you mind talking about the high score change thing, if you could?
Yeah, not at all. So with the high score, so you're talking about the 85 versus 86 total objectives thing, right?
That's what I assumed.
Yeah. So we made a snap decision last minute to include an achievement for cheating in the physics puzzler, and unfortunately, the criteria for getting that achievement wasn't wide enough that that someone could actually still get that after they had unlocked all of the tools. So really, the only way you can get it, I think there were two ways. One of the ways was to try to use a tool that you hadn't unlocked yet, and maybe that was the only way. So like a lot of people who were trying to get that last achievement, obviously it was completely unavailable to them at that point. So we made the decision to go ahead and can that and make it 85.
Yeah, we thought it would be kind of neat if you tried to hack the game and use a tool that you hadn't unlocked. We'll give you a bonus for that, right? To encourage hacking of the game. But then we realized if you unlocked all the tools, then you couldn't cheat in that way, right? Because you already got past that. So we adjusted the max score downward for those of who actually, if you did it legit, I mean, we can't penalize you for doing it that way, right?
Indeed.
Right, Ed, 2 more questions. Will 2018 return to a format where we can see other players that are working in the same area like 2015 and 2016?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. I don't want to say any more because I don't want to give any more away. In fact, I don't even want to answer the question, but I figure I owe it to you. So yes.
And then this is just a comment and then a question is from Wayland. We appreciate your dedication to this. This is something that we look forward to every year.
Well, thank you. That means so much to the whole team here. Really, thanks so much. The folks work so hard. Ron Bowes, great guy on our team. He just joined us last October, and then we dumped all this work on him. And I say to him, "Hey, Ron, you finally get to see how all this stuff is made and how hard this is." But Ron was such a trooper, and he worked really hard. He's one of those people that put in 100-hour weeks to get this thing out the door. So yeah, when you first join CounterHack, you might think, "Oh, this is great! I'll get to work on Holiday Hack Challenge. That's gonna be a lot of fun." And then you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is a lot of work! Wow!" But thank you for your kind words, and the team, I hope, appreciates them. I'm sure they do, and they're smiling now. So thanks.
So Ed, the final question. We had a few other questions, but I think they'll be answered over the course of the year as you roll out clues and things like that. So don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So in the last question, how can we support you? That's the question from Wayland. How can the community, how can we support you?
I got to say, the biggest thing that you can do is tell people about what we're doing. Seriously, and encourage them to play. Tell folks in the local high schools or community colleges or universities, tell them about what we're up to. We do this to help. We want, people always say, well, how can I help the community? Well, help us help the community by having people look at this and work through it. Set up little working teams. We don't have a problem with you working as a team. We want people to meet people, to maybe at your office you played this year. Get 5 other people to play, and you can all play together. That's totally fine. The biggest thing you can do to help support us is to get more people to play. You'll notice that we had 9,588 players. Man, did I want to hit over 10,000. I want to hit 12,000. In fact, I told the team I want to get to 25,000. We hit just under 10K. So help us next year hit over 10K. And again, this is just because we want to help more and more people get started in InfoSec, especially young people. And we'd love to have a more diverse group of players. Just to touch more people would be so fantastic with what we do. Also, we do appreciate all the kind emails you send us. Pictures of you playing the game or playing the game with your kids and such. We really do enjoy that. So the encouraging emails are just wonderful. Thank you so much.
That's it, Ed.
Thanks, Jason. My clock is chiming 12 noon in the background. You can hear it. So thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a Happy New Year.